You thought things couldn't possibly get worse for our receiver group. Well, let me tell you something. Commanders Nation, what Dan Quinn, confirmed just a few hours ago, is absolutely crushing for our chances against Dallas this Sunday. We're talking about our top receiver, our captain, the one who's carried this offense for years, and they're not going to be out there when we need them the most. But hold up, because just as one door closes, Adam Peters went ahead and kicked another one wide open with a move that has the entire league buzzing. We're talking about a former first-round pick the Titans let go of, receiver with the size and explosiveness this offense has been begging for. And here's the crazy part: this signing could spell the end of the road for a veteran most of us thought was part of the future. 3 bombshell updates. One single truth: the Commanders are in crisis and solution mode at the same time. Ready for the full story? Because I'm about to lay it all out. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this because you all deserve the truth. Terry McLaurin will not be playing against the Cowboys this Sunday in Arlington. That makes 4 straight weeks out 4 weeks. And you know what hurts the most? This is the biggest game of the season so far. A divisional matchup against our most hated rivals in their house. With everything on the line, Dan Quinn confirmed it Friday. And even though Terry took limited reps Wednesday, he didn't even step on the field Thursday. That quad injury from Week 3 against the Raiders just isn't healing the way everyone hoped. And here's where I've got to ask, remember, when he skipped all of training camp because of the contract holdout. I'm convinced that set his conditioning back more than the team's willing to admit that, because take a look at the numbers. And tell me this isn't worrying. Terry's got only 10 catches for 149 yards in 3 games this season. 0 touchdowns. This is someone who's had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons. A 2-time Pro Bowler suddenly producing like a number 3 receiver. Coincidence? I don't think so. When an elite player's not 100% healthy, the whole thing unravels. Since being drafted in the 3rd round back in 2019, Terry's definition of consistency: 470 receptions, 6,528 yards, 38 touchdowns, and 100 straight starts. That's the kind of reliability you build franchises around. And now, when Jaden Daniels needs his go-to receiver more than ever, Terry's stuck on the sideline watching. And you know what's the most frustrating part? The Cowboys' defense is going to key all their energy on stopping Deebo Samuel, who, by the way, is dealing with a heel injury and didn't even practice Thursday. So now tell me, how's Cliff Kingsbury supposed to put together an effective offensive game plan when both top receivers are questionable or completely out? This exposes a bigger problem than just injuries. It's about depth or the lack of it. While Philly's got a Jay Brown and Devonta Smith fully healthy, while Dallas has CeeDee Lamb doing work. We're over here just hoping our receivers can walk without limping. And the big question every Commanders fan is asking: can Jaden Daniels actually pull off a win in Dallas without his main weapons? Because you can bet Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn are already scheming around that. They're going to stack the box, blitz Jaden like crazy, and force him to win with guys he barely knows. This is the brutal truth of where we're at right now. Terry McLaurin, our most trusted receiver for years, probably won't be back until the international game in Madrid against the Dolphins. That's likely 5 weeks without our offensive captain. 5 weeks where Jaden's got to build rhythm with practice squad players and banged up vets. You think that's acceptable for a playoff hopeful team? I sure don't. And that's exactly why Adam Peters had to make a desperate move this week. If that shocked you, wait until you hear this. Because what Adam Peters just did could completely change this season's storyline. The Commanders signed Treylon Burks to the practice squad Friday. And trust me, this move means way more than it seems on the surface. Let's talk about who Burks really is. This isn't just some random guy picked off the street. He's a former number 18 overall pick from the 2022 draft, the one Tennessee took right after trading A.J. Brown to Philly. That's right, the Titans literally chose Burks over keeping an All-Pro. Did it work out for them? Absolutely not. Burks has been hit with injury after injury since coming into the league. Missed 12 games in his first 2 years, then broke his collarbone in July, and later tore his ACL missing the last 12 weeks of 2024. Over 3 seasons, 53 catches, 699 yards, 1 touchdown in 27 games, but here's what folks are missing. Burks is 25 years old, 6'2", and when healthy, he's got that vertical burst and frame this offense desperately needs. And you know what else? Cliff Kingsbury's the perfect coordinator to bring that type of player to life. Cliff's system is all about exploiting mismatches and using big body receivers who can win those tight, contested catches. Sound familiar? It should. That's exactly Burks' profile. The Titans never figured out how to use him. But Jaden Daniels has the kind of arm that can make those tight window throws Burks thrives on. And here's the part that fires me up. Peters signed him right after Burks visited the Broncos. That means there was competition. Other teams wanted him. And we won. Why? Because Burks saw real opportunity. Here he could be on the field immediately given our injury crisis. Now, tell me how many practice squad receivers get a legit shot too. Suit up within 48 hours of signing. That's how dire things are right now. Now let's set expectations straight. Burks isn't stepping in and turning into a Jay Brown overnight. He's not suddenly replacing Terry's production. But what he can do is give Jaden another physical target who can win at the point of attack, help block in the run game, and serve as a safety valve on 3rd and long. And the best part? Peters didn't waste an active roster spot. Signing him to the practice squad gives us flexibility. He can get elevated when needed, learn the playbook properly, and be evaluated with 0 long-term strings attached. That's the kind of smart, patient move that separates good G-Miz from great ones. Peters didn't panic and signed some aging vet off the streets. He went after a young player with real upside. If this clicks, Burks could be part of our future core beyond this season. Because here's the truth. Everyone avoids. We need more talent at wide receiver. Period. Terry is elite when healthy. Debo's solid. But after that, it's a desert out there. Burks is a low-risk, high-reward bet that could seriously pay off. Think about those redemption stories. Debo Samuel revitalized the Niners. Cooper Kupp turned into a Super Bowl MVP when the Rams took a chance. This could be our version of that story. Will it work? Depends on whether Burks can stay healthy and adapt quickly to Kingsbury's scheme. But I'll take aggressive problem-solving from Peters, overweighting around for miracles any day. And here's where things get wild. This move might shake up the roster in ways deeper than just depth. Alright, this is where things get really interesting. Treylon Burks joining the squad probably signals the end of the line for Noah Brown as a commander. Sound harsh? Hear me out. Noah Brown just hit injured reserve this week after not playing since week 2 against the Packers. The team hoped he bounced back fast. Clearly, that didn't happen. And here's the pattern nobody wants to say out loud. Brown missed our entire playoff run last year, got a fresh deal this offseason, but then got hurt in mandatory minicamp. Came back for the start of the season, played 2 games, boom, hurt again. It's a brutal pattern. This is a player who simply can't stay healthy for any stretch of time. And in the NFL, the best ability is availability. Doesn't matter how skilled you are if you can't get on the field. Let's talk numbers. Brown can't even return until that overseas game in Madrid versus the Dolphins. That's weeks away. And between now and then, Burks will have every chance possible to show his worth. So here's the tough question. If Burks steps up, learns fast, builds chemistry with Jaden, and produces, why on earth would you bring Brown back? Especially when he's become such a constant injury risk. From Cliff Kingsbury's point of view, it's pretty simple. Burks is 6'2", younger, more explosive, and a former first-rounder for a reason. Brown's a solid vet, sure, but his ceiling is as a 3rd or 4th receiver. Burks' ceiling? Way higher if everything clicks. And let's be real, the NFL is full of stories like this. One guy's injuries open the door for someone else, and the new face runs with it. That's just how it goes. Remember what happened with Chase Young? Everyone thought he was untouchable. Then Peters shipped him out without blinking. Why? Because Peters doesn't care about names, only production, availability, and upside. Brown checks none of those boxes right now. Now, in fairness, maybe Brown comes back and contributes late in the season, but based on his track record from the last 18 months, how likely does that really sound? And that's the cold truth Peters has to face. You can't depend on someone who can't stay healthy. Jaden Daniels needs reliable targets every week. The Commanders can't afford to keep waiting on maybes. Look at what happened to Dallas after losing Amari Cooper. They kept betting on beat-up vets, and it cost them. We can't repeat that mistake. Peters knows that, Quinn knows that, and Burks is the insurance move that proves it. And one more thing this might also mean: bad news on Deebo Samuel that just hasn't gone public yet. Because when you start stacking 5 receivers on your practice squad 5, that's not normal. That's a team bracing for impact dot. So when Brown is finally eligible to return, one of two things will happen. Either Burks locks in as a vital piece and Brown rides the bench, or Brown tries to come back and ends up hurt again because his body's just not built to take the grind anymore. God, it's harsh, but that's the NFL reality. Brown's a good dude, been a pro through it all, but this sport's cutthroat. If you can't suit up, someone else will take your spot. Simple as that. So Commanders Nation, who would you rather bet on? A consistently hurt veteran who knows the system, or a young player with upside who can grow alongside Jaden for the next few years? Because that's the choice Peters just made by signing Treylon Burks. Let's recap 3 major storylines. Terry McLaurin out 4 weeks and counting, devastating. Treylon Burks signed with explosive potential, promising. Noah Brown probably done in Washington - necessary. 3 moves that paint one clear picture. The Commanders have hit a critical fork in the road. What Peters and Quinn do NOW decides whether this team fights for January football or ends up watching from home. So here's my question to you. Do you trust Adam Peters to steer us through this storm and keep the Commanders competitive? Because so far, he's shown he's not afraid to make the tough calls, to let go of sentiment, and to keep this team pushing forward. Now, I want to hear what you think. Can Treylon Burks really be the answer to our receiver problem? Or are we just hyping up another injury-prone player? And what about Noah Brown? Should he get another shot? Or is it time to move on? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Because this community, this Commanders family, has lived through the highs and lows together. And now it finally feels like this franchise is making real moves to build a winner. If this breakdown gave you a fresh take, or some insight you hadn't considered yet, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? I'll be here tomorrow, next week, and all season long bringing you the raw truth about everything happening with our Commanders. Subscribe, ring that bell, and join this growing family. Because when the Commanders finally make that long-awaited Super Bowl run, you better believe you'll want to say you were here from the start, analyzing every move, every call, every defining moment on the road to glory. And remember, hail to the Redskins!